Hi, this segment's on dry fly patterns for the spring. Of course, there is some crossover with these patterns in other times of year, but this is kind of tailored toward the spring dry fly patterns. And we'll talk a little bit about one of the favorite patterns or favorite hatches of the spring, and that would be the squala stonefly. And the lower row there shows a series of squala stonefly patterns, and again, by all means, these aren't the only patterns that will work. These are just some of our favorites. Remember, the squala stone is not a very big pattern or a very big fly. It can really be as an overall a size 10, and sometimes it's very skinny. As an angler, you need to have both. You need to kind of have a mix-up. You need to be able to have some skinny patterns that represent the squala stone, and you also need to have some robust patterns, because sometimes they want to see it big and robust, sometimes they want to see it skinny. And here's a pattern that kind of represents a pretty skinny silhouette, and that you can see that this is a parachute style, and that really it's not very evasive, and there's not any rubber legs, there's nothing really to it other than the parachute on top, the wing, and then the body, and the body happens to be peacock and some dubbing in the head. It does have a little foam butt here, which represents the egg sac and also helps it float. In contrast, here's a pattern that we have used during a squala hatch. Sometimes we'll use it in different colors. This one actually happens to be a in royal pattern, but I mean, this is significantly bigger looking pattern. It's got rubber legs on it, and the silhouette overall is larger. We could utilize it. This is called a parachute Madam X again, and we could utilize it in olive or in yellow or in orange or in black or in royal like this one. Anyways, the fact of the matter is it definitely has a bigger silhouette. Oftentimes we'll utilize a bullet head pattern. Here's a series of bullet head patterns up here. We take a look at the this bullet head pattern. Really, this one, for one reason or another, really looks a lot like a squala on the water. It doesn't have a lot of characteristics as you look at it when it comes to the tie factor that makes it look like a squala, but for one reason or another, it has the squala look about it and has caught plenty of fish. It doesn't float very good, and once she starts to sink, she's not so fun to keep up. Here's another bullet head style. This one's actually called the unit squala, and I've caught a lot of fish on that pattern. It's pretty kind of a mixture, you know. It's not very over rambunctious. It doesn't have a lot of huge silhouette to it, yet it still does have the rubber legs, and it floats pretty good with the foam and the poly in it. Here's a custom tie by one of our guides, Derek Jordan. This one is very realistic in its presentation, and you can see the rubber legs are knotted, and we have an egg sac on the back, and then we have an underwing of foam that helps it float, and an overwing of hair. And it is definitely tied kind of in a modified foam bullet head style. Here's the John's squala from the Bitterroot, kind of a furry foam body, Chernobyl, and that seems to work pretty good at times. Definitely has a pretty good silhouette. I mean, it's not like it's a very skinny pattern here. You can see a lot of legs on there, and it's kind of got a fat body. Here's the CFO ant, and even though the CFO ant is a kind of an attractor Chernobyl pattern, it has caught plenty of fish during a squala hatch, and it's one thing beautiful about anything that's foam and rubber is it floats like a cork. Hard to sink it. Sometimes it's good to, the squalas of the Yakima tend to be kind of a tannish olive black, if you will, or dun olive black, but at times they'll key in on something bright. Why that is, I don't know, but maybe it has something to do with refraction of light or not. But sometimes a black pattern works better than a yellow pattern, sometimes vice versa. So it's good to have that mix-up factor. Oftentimes we'll run two different patterns at a time to see which one they're keying in on, you know, do double dries. Scroll up above those squala patterns, and here we have the 3 attractor patterns. Again, there's plenty other attractor patterns besides what we're showing here, but over the years, caught many fish on the Yakima River using a royal parachute. Royal parachute right there. Kind of an attractor pattern. And then over the years, a parachute Adams on many western streams, not just the Yakima, has been a favorite. So for example, this one actually happens to be a size 12 here, but let's just say there's a large amount of blueing olives hatching on the Yakima River in size 16 or 18. Well, a good recommendation would be to use the parachute Adams in a size 16. It's a great attractor dry fly pattern. And to the left of that, parachute Adams is a split wing parachute right there, Adams, and it's basically the same thing with just 2 wings that allow you to see it better. We scroll up above those attractor patterns to look at some more realistic patterns that would work on the Yakima. Again, these aren't the only patterns that will work, it's just some that we utilize. If you look over here to the far right, we have a high visibility pheasant tail parachute right here. Parachutes are nice because they do float flush to the water, and the high vis obviously is for us to see. And here we have a pheasant tail with a Quigley style wing, which kind of represents more of a hatching style insect as opposed to an already hatched style parachute style. Then here we have a hair stacker. Pretty tough to take a good clean look at that one with being as small as it is. I think that one's actually a size 18, but a hair stacker is kind of a cross between a parachute and a comparadun. Right to the left of that, we have a parachute March Brown. Here we have a parachute blueing olive in a size 18. This one's obviously a size 12. Here we have a rather large comparadun blueing olive, which this is certainly a lot larger than what happens on the Yakima, but it's a good representation of a comparadun. And here we have another comparadun in blueing olive pattern. And to the left of that, we have a parachute sparkle tail blueing olive, and sometimes using a trailing shuck or sparkle tail is a great idea. You can see that tail right there. That's kind of a trailing shuck, which represents a hatching insect. So that gives you just an idea of some of the patterns we utilize on the river. Does that mean that's the only ones that will work? Certainly not. However, they have proven to be pretty effective for us. Hopefully helpful, and we'll see you on the water.